Alright guys, this is a video explaining our grammar lesson about verbs. You can follow along with your own version of the notes, highlighting, marking, even pausing in between various grammar activities in your packet, but hopefully this is a helpful explanation for you. Obviously they define a verb as a word that expresses action. That's what we always grow up, like verbs are action words, that's what we grow up learning. And then we also want to add in that they express a state of being. They help make things a complete thought. So we have a couple sentences here. As a rule of thumb, I typically like to double underline verbs and write an S above subjects like we learned previously in our noun lesson. Business, people, work. Work is our verb. People is our subject. We will learn adjectives next. Business is an adjective modifying people. Second example, the curtain closed too soon. Closed is the verb. Subject of the sentence is curtain. And we have a linking verb example in the last one. Are is a linking verb. Artist being the subject. Artists are creative. Verbs express time, indicating the present, past, and the future. This is what we call verb tense. And we'll see three examples down here. So we have here, we hear a car outside, which means it's happening right now. We have we heard a car outside, which is happened in the past. And we will hear, which means that it will happen in the future. So you can see we have past, present, and future. Remember, you can pause this video, rewind, go back and listen to any of the explanations, but I'm going to be moving on to the next page now. An action verb is something that tells something or someone what they have done. So I think it's important to note we have physical actions and mental actions. I'm going to drop 2 stars by the mental actions because sometimes students forget about those. The huge lineman leads the charge through his defense. He is physically leading it. We have lineman as our subject. And secondly, the coaches plan the team's strategy before each game. Plan is a mental strategy, and coaches is our subject. And now this is where it gets a little bit tricky. I would say this section is probably one of the more challenging parts of the verb lesson, is this idea of transitive and intransitive. I'll read the definitions and then we'll go over the examples. A transitive verb is an action verb that is followed by words or word that answers the question what or whom. So you want to really lock these in as applying to the transitive verb. Okay, what or whom. Chipmunks climb small trees to get at berries and nuts. The action verb is climb, and it's followed by the noun trees, which answers the question what. So before, in order to find the answer, I would ask, climb what? And the answer to that is trees. That shows that it is a transitive verb. The action is carrying along or passing along to another object. Intransitive, on the other hand, is a different type of verb. I'm changing colors here just so I can make sure I don't confuse you. An intransitive verb is an action that is not followed by a word that answers the question whom or what. There's no passing along of the action. It doesn't get transferred onto somebody else or another object. We'll read the example below. Chipmunks also climb much of the time simply to escape their enemies. Climb is still our verb. In both sentences, we have our subject as chipmunk. But this time, when I ask climb what, I come up with no answer. That little circle with the dash through it is my abbreviation for it does not apply. So instead, what happens after climb answers the questions when and why. But those are not the questions that you need to worry about. You need to ask what or whom. And if it doesn't answer those, then it is an intransitive verb. So just a reminder, transitive verbs answer the questions what or whom. Intransitive verbs do not. So it says below, to decide whether a verb in a sentence is transitive or intransitive, ask who or what, whom or what after the verb. If the answer given in the sentence If the answer is given in the sentence, the verb is transitive. If it is not given, the verb is intransitive. So for example, Jill ate her sandwich in the cafeteria. This is our subject, Jill. Jill ate what? Her sandwich. So we know that it's transitive. Jill ate right before class today. Jill ate what? Can't answer it. So then we know that it's intransitive. Okay. I would log into tutoring hours if you have questions on this specific section, because this is definitely the one that becomes a little bit more tricky in terms of understanding, but hopefully that helps clarify the difference. Now we're coming to a specific type of verb, which is a linking verb. And the biggest important thing to remember is linking verbs do not show action. They typically show a state of being. Okay, they join the subject of a sentence, of course, with another verb, or with itself, the verb, but it normally has to do with a state of being. Notice that it's the verb to be in all of its forms. You're going to want to memorize these. This list is super important, especially when we get to our writing and we talk about learning to eliminate linking verbs. So we have, I am a musician. The person is being in the state of being a musician. You could very easily say, I used to be a musician. Well, that meant that it was in the past. But when you say I am, it means it's this continual state of being. That singer is an artist. Singer is my subject. The state of being is being an artist. Those days were hot. It's not eternal, but for the whole summer, that state of being could be the warm weather. And those are mosquitoes. Okay. This is the tricky list. I always tell kids, write this down. They don't seem like linking verbs, but they are. Appear, become, feel, grow, look, remain, seem, sound, smell, stay, and taste. When I look at the word look or taste, I don't see linking verb. But because I memorized this list, now I'm able to easily identify them. A couple samples below. The cake tastes good. That is subject to change. The cake could taste bad if you left it outside of the fridge. So it is a state of being, the state of taste. When you eat a hot tamale, your mouth doesn't taste like hot tamale for the rest of your life. But it is a state of being in the moment at which it happens. And we have, he grew taller over the summer. She felt good about the election results. And he seems better today. Simple sentence pattern, but it is important to see examples of these other types of linking verbs on their own in a sentence. Remember, you can pause, rewind, go back at any point. I'm moving on to the next page.